Hey Chuck, how's it going?
Hey, good.
Can you see me?
No, not yet.
Let me put this on. Okay, there you go. You see me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I got the keys. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So what we have here. Okay, let me just put this. So what I have here is this is a house trap right here.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And this is 4 inches of concrete all around the basement.
Correct.
And this house trap runs it's a clean out. It runs to the front of the house sewer, to the main sewer into the street. Okay. Everything's been it's not back pitched. We've snaked it. It's not an issue. But if you look closer, there's 4 inches of concrete on the floors. But if you look there, there's dirt underneath. So it's just dirt underneath.
Right.
You know?
Right.
There's a little bit of a concrete box around this.
Right.
But there's a hole here where the pipe goes, and it connects to this zip line over here.
Right.
I mean, the zip drain.
Okay.
And so the water collects here, goes into the house trap, and then it goes out into the main sewer.
Right.
Okay. So when we had to do this, renovation, we had to dig this out.
Okay.
It's a 3-foot walkway. Right here, on the right, on the bottom, you can't see it, but the footer of the foundation is there.
Right.
It's just covered up now.
Right.
So we have stairs going up, and you see where this concrete is?
Correct.
That's supposed to be the normal elevation of where land used to be before we actually dug it out.
Okay.
Understood?
Yep.
And so let me give you a shot of what the building looks like on this side.
Okay.
Okay. So when it rains, water actually comes up not from the back. We thought it was like the pipe backing up,
Right.
but it's not. It's actually water's coming from the dirt from underneath.
Correct.
So I believe that when we dug this out, and you see this retaining wall, it's about 8 feet high.
Right.
I think we got a little bit of a problem with hydrostatic pressure.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So if you look on the side here, my mom's house next door, it's dirt in the front, in the back, and so I'm thinking water comes underneath here, this wall, and water also comes out underneath there. When we concreted the backyard, we figured we'd have no issues with water.
Right.
And that doesn't seem to be the issue. That doesn't seem to be the solution.
Right.
The one thing I can say when we did construction, if you see this right here, the footer of the foundation was a little bit in the front, right there.
Right.
And we had to crack it to connect this clean out to
your channel.
zip drain, right?
Right.
So, it could be that they didn't do a good job of doing that, or it could be that the hydrostatic pressure is just pushing the water up. And we only get it when it's really, really raining really hard.
Right.
And I'm talking torrential rain.
Right.
So maybe 2 times to 3 times a year. We finished this construction a year ago, so we've had about 2 or 3 times. I will say when we did construction, while we were doing the construction, when this was all dirt on the inside right here, we did have the same issue, and we ran a hose. So we had completed this set of stairs already and the retaining wall. we had left a hose up there just to test, and the water did end up eventually coming underneath here. And I don't know whether it was because the guys backfilled underneath the stairs with sand or what.
Okay. But
there was this concrete walkway was put. It was just dirt. I don't think they filled it with gravel, etc. And unfortunately, the contractor didn't recommend putting a dry well or anything like that.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna have to dig up the concrete walkway, unfortunately.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple questions.
Shoot.
When that was exposed, before they poured that concrete on the little walkway, and you could see that footer, that foundation footer, was there any pipes there?
No pipes.
Okay. What's happening is, of course, the water in the ground, you're calling it hydrostatic pressure, that's fine. Water is getting, pushed up through the concrete. It's very common. Concrete's very porous, and if you get enough water and pressure underneath, it's going to come through. There should be, they might be on the inside, we call them footer tiles. These are pipes that lay on the footer. Sometimes they're on the outside. In that older home, they're probably on the inside. As you came across to the inside with that channel drain, did you see any pipes along the inside perimeter?
No, there was no pipes at all.
Okay.
None.
Okay. So what you need is you need to be able to collect that water.
Right.
A dry well is not going to do it. And the reason why is that, as water fills up that dry well, it's just going to become useless. So my suggestion is the sump pump. And I mean, you probably had that from other people as well. But the pump could be outside, even though you're there in the freeze cold, because it's going to be down deep. It's going to be down in the ground. Better would be on the inside, but you've got the floor down already. And basically, I would send that channel drain to that sump pump, and then lift it up and send it back outside. You see where your downspout looks like it just goes out to the backyard?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That you could keep that as is, but you could tie it into that, wherever that's draining to, and that way, whenever water builds up under the floor, the pump's going to lift it up and carry it away. While you're going to have to excavate someplace, either inside or outside, doesn't matter. But while you're down there, if you can do a couple of feet of what we call footer tile, that's gravel perforated pipe, to help collect more water. The more water you can collect, the less that will ever happen. But that would be my suggestion. I don't know if you'd thought about that or not. Now, in other states, I don't know if even what you just did there, you brought the stormwater, what we call stormwater, into the sewer. I'm pretty sure that in New York that's against code. But it's okay, you already did it. But when you go to sell, if the inspector sees that water's coming into that sewer line, he'll probably mention it to you.
Right.
So again, the sump pump, is really your best bet. And if you go back outside for a second.
Yep.
And
so I have really only 2 feet to play with here.
That's plenty.
Like 1 foot is probably the footer on the home.
Right. That's plenty. Well, you may not even have that because of the retaining wall probably has a footer also.
Right.
So somewhere in there, you can modify the pit. If you've seen the videos or if you've been looking around at sump pumps and sump basins, they're pretty big. They're about 18 inches wide and about 28 or 24 inches deep. But you can modify that. You could put any type of basin that you want in there. So in other words, a Tupperware container that would fit into your space as long as it's deep enough to house the sump pump. So there's a trash can, just an office trash can, that will work too. Anything that you can just keep the pump contained, so that you can drill a hole into it for a pipe, and the water can come in, and of course you're going to need a discharge to come back out. But yeah, actually it's really straightforward, but you're right, you don't have a lot of room out there because there's probably 2 footers there. Maybe the block wall is sitting flush on the edge of the footer. Do you?
I mean, I could do something here possibly, maybe.
Well,
I'm not sure what I could do.
Yeah, I like your contractor did a really nice job. It looks clean and neat. What you're calling a zip line, we call a channel drain or a trench drain. That's beautiful. It looks really good. I mean, you've got a great entrance, and your new tenants are going to love it. I mean, that's beautiful. I would move it off to the side and leave the channel drain there to help collect your surface water. One other question: when they built the retaining wall, did they put any footer tiles or anything at the bottom there to help drain the wall?
When you're talking about footer tiles, you're talking about sort of like the PVC pipe or some kind of pipe with perforated holes on the bottom, correct?
Correct.
No, they didn't do any of that.
Okay. That surprises me because even though it's not a major wall, in 10 or 15 years that wall is going to crack. You know, without drainage, the pressure is going to crack that wall, and it's beautiful. It's stucco. You know, you're going to see a crack in there in 10 or 15 years.
We were thinking about putting some weeping holes in there to relieve some of the pressure.
Perfect. Yeah, you definitely need to do something there. Not right away, and that's pretty simple. You know, to drill through there at the bottom, and the channel drain will pick that up. But pretty easy excavation, Michael. If you do it yourself or if you pay somebody, either one. You're going to need a concrete saw and a jackhammer or something to break up the concrete, and be able to get that sump pit down about 2 feet. 18 inches is good. 2 feet's a little bit better, and just surround it with gravel. That's really all you would need. I would also connect that channel drain to that sump pump. And take it off of the sewer system completely. Even though you've already got a line over there, I would take it off of there.
So let me ask you a quick question. If I put in a sump pump, number one, I spoke to some people about it. They hate the idea of having something mechanical outside,
right? Because
of the freezing factor,
right?
And two, I mean, I just, I don't have any experience with sump pumps. Are they electric? They're.
Yes, yeah, it's an electric pump. I'd recommend a Zoller. I'll send all this to you as well. But I'd recommend a Zoller M53. And the way the pump works is, it has a float on it. So as water enters your pit, can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay. As the water enters the pit, it pulls the float up, it kicks it on. As the water discharges, the float goes off and the pump turns off. So it works really good. I mean, they've been around for a long time. The other thing that you'll need, though, is a GFI outlet outside, so you can plug the pump into it.
Right.
So that's another cost because you're going to end up with an electrician to bring that outside.
I think we already have an outlet outside, so I'm not really worried about that.
Okay, good.
It's more of about we get some really, we do get freezing here.
Right.
So I'm just worried about mechanically if something breaks there. And then, if, let's say, I have to cement back the sump pump, right? Back, above it. So if and when it does break, I have to redig it out, correct?
No, you would leave your lid or your access, whatever it is. Again, think about a Tupperware, how it has the, what I'm talking about, a Tupperware container?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
It has a plastic lid. Those aren't the strongest, but you could figure it out. Something, you leave that exposed for access. If you can get down 2 feet, down into the soil 2 feet there, I doubt if it would freeze because you're already, I know it gets cold there in the stairwell, but you're already way below frost line in New York. You know what I mean? You're way below that. It's probably 3 feet, so you're already down 6 or 7 feet.
Right.
So I doubt if it would freeze. But there is that possibility. Of course, there's always that possibility. More of a possibility will be the discharge line as it comes up and goes out. So I wouldn't recommend a check valve if you know what that is.
I do. I kind of know what a check valve is.
Well, that's what the hole is. That's what that first thing you showed me. That's a check valve.
Okay.
It has a little ball in it. That's how the traps work in New York, and it keeps that water and stuff from the sewer from coming back up into the basement. But it also allows you to clean the line. But it has a little ball in it, so if water backs up, it stops the water.
You don't recommend one.
Right, because it'll hold water all the way up, it won't let it come back down. So I wouldn't put a check valve on yours.
So the sump pump, let's say I install the sump pump. If I have to put the sump pump here, where do I actually drain it out to?
If you put
you know what I mean?
If you put it inside, you mean?
Well, no. If let's say I
put it outside,
sump pump in the walkway,
okay.
Right?
Right.
So once the sump pump fills up, where does it actually drain out to? Where do I have to connect it to so it goes out?
Okay, the downspout drain is your best bet. That downspout that comes down, you've got it right now. You've got aluminum downspout that runs out.
Yeah, we're actually getting it adjusted and fixed.
Okay, good.
So it's there.
Right, I would put.
It runs all the way out.
Where does that go to?
It just stops here for now, but we're going to extend it all the way to the backyard.
Okay, good.
Way back.
Okay, if you can make that PVC, make it 4-inch or 3-inch PVC. That would be good. It doesn't have to be scheduled 40 if you understand. It just needs to be thin-walled PVC.
Right.
And make sure that it has a slope and it'll never freeze. And,
okay.
But you would, there on the left-hand side of the stairwell, somehow you've got to get that water to come up that wall. The pipe has to come up the wall, so you will see it. And it'll come up. If you use PVC, you'll be able to make a real good connection where it's watertight, won't drip or anything, and it'll be carried away. But unfortunately, you're going to be able to see that.
It's not an issue for me.
Well, it will. It kind of will be. It'll be a real eyesore. That's beautiful right now, Michael. It really is. Go back up outside and just go turn around towards the house. And let me see where else you could discharge.
But the pump will actually send the water up.
Oh yeah, it'll pump it 40, 50 feet, no problem. Okay, so the other option, go to your left, right there. Your other option, it might seem strange, but there in the little knee-high wall, let's say the pump's in the left-hand corner over there. Let's just say it's clear over in the corner, which would be the best place for it. You could drill through that wall just a couple inches above the concrete and let it drain right there. And you might think, well, that will just recycle, but it won't, because the bulk of that water, I'm sure that's graded away from the area.
It is.
It'll just run down through there, but it will freeze every time it runs. You'll have.
That's not an issue.
Okay,
it's not a big deal.
I think that's a better option, because that way that discharge of the sump pump is just totally non-intrusive to your tenant.
Right.
Because that really looks good like that, and I would hate to. If it was my rental, I would hate to do that.
Yeah, I hear you. Let me ask you a question though. If we put the sump pump all the way in the corner in the back over there, or somewhere around here, right?
Correct.
Even though we're having the issue,
well, yeah, I
understand. The only place the water comes up is here.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, it comes up here. Everything else, thank God, nothing comes in. But if we put that sump pump all the way in the corner in the back, it still won't be an issue. It will solve this issue even though the water is coming up here, on this side of the building?
Kind of. I would still suggest that you trench over to that channel drain and go ahead and gravel perforate that all the way across so that it picks up that water from the retaining wall. So again, you could put the pump closer, but the more footer tile that you can put in there, the better chance you have of solving that problem.
Gotcha.
The sump pump.
And it has to be pitched or sloped down toward.
No, it just needs to be, at the footer level, or if you can get just a little bit below the footer. Just a little bit. That would be good. That footer's probably 8 inches thick, maybe. So if you can get down 2 inches below that, it can run level, because if you can still see me, water floods up and then it's carried away.
Right.
So it doesn't have to have any pitch at all.
Okay. And make sure that's connected to the sump pump, and the pump will take it away.
Correct. And again, hook up that channel drain to it as well. And I think that would be your absolute best bet. Another question: when they had the footer exposed there, and the outside wall, it looks like they stuccoed it. Did they do anything to the brick? Did they put any sealer on there, or?
Knowing that we had a lot of problems with this mason, and we actually had to throw him off the job twice. So he didn't. I doubt it was waterproofed correctly.
Okay.
So so the water somehow is just coming underneath the house, and we couldn't believe it because there's concrete all around here now.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just pressure, right?
Yeah. It's just groundwater, and when it, like you said, when it rains enough, that water starts to rise, and it'll crack everything. I mean, it's a matter of time.
Right.
So, and of course it pushes through, and the first place you see it is inside that clean out. That's the first place you'll see it. That's the lowest point. Yeah, I would give that would be my suggestion if you were talking to me up there and said, Chuck, how much? Honestly, it's not that much. For us to do it here, you're probably looking at about maybe $2,800 total. Well, I know that's a lot, but
no. I mean, I get so many much bigger quotes over here. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Welcome to New York.
Exactly.
I always kid people, tell them Charlotte's expensive, but I know there's other places that are even more expensive. But I mean, so under $3,000, you should be able to solve the problem.
You wouldn't happen to know anybody over here, would you, in New York?
No, it's something that we just started to do the consult because there's so how everybody wants to make money, but it's
sure.
Like okay, I'll charge $25. I probably get 15 calls a day from all over the country saying, "Can you help me do this?" And it's like I'll do it free on Saturday morning.
That's well, I mean, if I can send you a check, I will. You let me know.
No, I'm good. I'm good. But
I do have one question though. When you say you called it a tile
footer tile,
footer tile. Right.
Footer.
Is that basically a French drain?
Yeah, that's what people call a French drain. It's
okay.
Perforated pipe surrounded by gravel.
Okay.
So, and the water floods through the gravel into the holes, and then the pipe carries it away.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we call it a gravel perforated pipe, but then the other term is footer pipe, which was that's the old term along the perimeter, sometimes inside, sometimes outside, sometimes both. Depends on that builder who built the house years ago. How old is the house?
This house itself, I mean, we gutted the whole thing, but the bones itself is probably a good 50 years.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that there's not footer tiles. I would imagine that there really is, especially in a basement. I mean, it's pretty rare that you don't see them, especially 50 years ago. And back then it would have been a concrete pipe. They're 1 foot sections. There might not be gravel, but there's 1 foot sections. They butt together, and water floods through the seams of each piece.
I didn't see any when we tore this up, so maybe it was my mistake that I didn't notice it. But
it might not be down deep enough either.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm sure that sump pump by itself, if you just put the pump in there, that would probably solve the problem. But because you're tearing that area up again, do whatever you can, to solve it. And
two more questions.
Yeah.
What I call the French drains, they've known to get clogged or dirty or filled with dirt or roots eventually. Is that a problem? Or?
Yeah. What your contractor will do is he'll put a fabric over top of it, a soil fabric. Yeah. That'll help keep the dirt out. But you're so close to grade, where you are, you're not going to get anything in there. The tree roots that might get in there at that depth, if there are any trees in the backyard.
Yeah, we don't have any trees here, so we're okay.
At that depth, you're pretty rare that you'd have that problem. Life expectancy of that system is about 15 to 25 years. It's just like a roof.
Right.
So, but I mean, in your lifetime of the home, I bet you'll never have another problem.
Right.
Just to let you know.
When I had one contractor that spoke to me about, doing something like this, and he mentioned doing a French drain, but instead of having the pipe, he talked about getting sort of like, just like what you said, but not with a pump. I guess it sounded sort of like a dry well, but it was basically a perforated bowl or a container or something like that. And would that replace the perforated pipe or? No,
he's still talking about a dry well.
Dry well. Right?
Yeah, and again, if he goes down 40 feet, it doesn't matter how much gravel there is. Water's going to fill that up. You know, I mean, as soon as you get those really big rains, that groundwater rises, it's going to fill up the system, and that does not work anymore.
Right.
You know, so, but for the average rainfalls, you know, a good hard rain, that would probably solve the problem, but I would suggest a pump. I mean, the Sump Pumps, their code, I'm from Columbus, Ohio originally, their code in basement in Ohio. That's code. You have to have a sump pump.
Right. The only problem with the sump pump inside the apartment here is this is supposed to be a bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, like the noise from the sump pump.
Very little noise. Get a good pump. They probably would never hear it. Just to let you know.
So do you recommend me doing it on the inside or the outside if I had the choice?
That's a good question. You know,
because I you know, this is just tile. It's not really.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Yeah, I know. I understand. It's a parquet.
It's ceramic, so it's porcelain. So I could just tear it up. You know.
Yeah.
Portion of it.
I would say do it outside. Only because you want to hook up the channel drain.
Yeah.
You know, inside is better bet. You know, but you've got the channel drain there, so you go ahead and hook that up to it as well. The inside, you could go back into that. Now you're looking to the right-hand side. You could go back in that corner and inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could go right over there. Real straightforward. The only thing is that you'd end up with a little bit more. What's it called? You've got baseboard, sheetrock. That's going to come out of there. I mean, it would tear all that up too. So, because it needs to be right into the corner. And no matter how careful that contractor is, I guarantee you that will come out of there. Right. And that's all finished. You know, at this point, I would put it outside.
Outside, and then you really don't have any worries about the freezing or it being outside, correct?
No, I don't. Like I say, you're down so deep that I don't think that you'd have you're well below frost line. There is, of course, always that possibility. I know it gets cold there and it stays cold. I mean, it stays cold for months. You know, you could be 30 days below freezing, and at that point, you know, you might, if you just put it on some kind of a thing at your house, say, I need to go check that pump. You know, go check it. But even 30 days is pretty rare in New York. Usually it warms up, you know, a couple of weeks.
So essentially, you're telling me, put a French drain, disconnect this channel drain, and hook it up and put in a pump.
Correct.
Outside, and that should solve everything.
Yeah, and also don't forget your weed poles, which you already want to do.
Weed poles. I have to put weed poles here and weed poles here on this side as well, correct?
Yeah, I would do it at the bottom. You don't need to do it in the stairs, but at the bottom.
Okay.
And then if you go in that left-hand corner as you look at the outside, you know, you can come up and go through the wall, the knee-high wall, and let it drain across the concrete. That would be really, really ideal. Because then it's not in their way at all. And
you mean when I go up and...
yeah, when you discharge. Right. And they'll be able to secure it to the wall, make it real nice. I mean, it'll look really good.
Okay.
I think that you'll find a good contractor that would do that for you. Like I said, I would say 2,800 here. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there would be more. Maybe 3,800, 1,000 more, but I don't think it would be that expensive to do. The real issue is how much room is there between those footers to get something down there.
Right.
You know?
Right. And then the other thing is I have to reconcrete the actual walkway again. You know. Yeah,
but that's really, I mean, that's just quickcrete. You don't need to pour it anymore. It's just be quickcrete. You know, bags of concrete, and it's still so white and bright that it would pretty much match.
Right.
You know, so I don't think you'd even know it.
The other problem here in New York is there's so many contractors and most of them are terrible, unfortunately. And I hate to say it, you know, we do a lot of home renovations, etc. I've gone through a bunch, and it's hard. It's really hard. So.
I know. It's the same here. Everybody says they find me online and, you know, on YouTube. I don't even advertise. I just have YouTube, and you know, they say, well, why didn't we see you guys? And I said, well, you know, you found us now. What difference does it make?
Well, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know.
Oh, hey, could I use this video? Could we use some of this for the ad, for one of the ads?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
That's so good. Do you have
Is there any way I can get that information about the pumps?
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you right now. I'll just type it to you real quick. And what I was going to say is that if you have pictures of your excavation, look for yourself to see how much room, how much foot of room there really is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a foot wide out from that foundation wall is pretty wide. That you've got a great building. I mean, that must be a tremendous footer. You know, I mean, a really good footer. So I doubt if you have any cracking. These are just good things. But see how much room there is between there and that wall. And
right.
Again, I don't have a trash can to show you, but if you, yeah, hold on 1 second.
Sure.
No, I don't. I thought I did.
It's okay.
But if you just think about a kitchen trash can, you know, how they're relatively narrow and deep. Mm-hmm. That Zoller will fit inside there. I've used these before. I mean, we do whatever it takes to get something into the ground. As long as it's deep enough, and you'll have to make a lid for it that's solid, that they can stand on and stomp on. You know, because I figure they're going to walk across it. You know, mm-hmm. You can say caution, caution, but they're going to walk across it. Mm-hmm. You don't want them to fall through it. So find something that's solid. Whether you'll figure it out. I'm positive,
right.
Or the contractor will, and that's really all you need to do that. I mean, I think that will work really good.
Okay.
All right, Michael.
Chuck, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Welcome. Good to meet you. And like I said, when you're all done with it, send me some pictures.
Will do.
I'll type this to you right now.
Fantastic. Thank you
all
so
right.
much.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. So we just did a consult with a man in Queens, New York, Michael Chan. Real nice guy. He's got a good problem. Nice little piece of property that he's worked real hard on. But he does have that basement water problem. And if you listen to that conversation, you know, what he needs is a sump pump and what we call footer tiles, or the French drain, to help collect the water that sits there along the footer and lift that water up, pump it away, and it won't come into the basement anymore. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drainage, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.